Hi everyone! So I wanted to do a review for this book because I read it and I really loved it. And I think it deserves some more attention because it's a really great book. So I read Character Driven by David Lubar. Character Driven is about a boy named Cliff in his last year of high school, and it's basically just a story about him trying to decide what he's going to do with the rest of his life after he graduates, and about his friends and family, and a little bit about falling in love. Like the title suggests, it is a character-driven story, so while it does have a storyline throughout the entire book, it's more about the characters than it is about the story. This is one of the best new books that I've read this year, and as I'm a bit picky, this is really high praise for me. This book, from the very beginning in the prelude, promises to hook you, and I have to say that immediately from the very first chapter, I was hooked on the story and just wanted to keep reading it. I just liked it immediately. And if you say that you're going to hook you from the very beginning, then you have to live up to that, and this book definitely did. Cliff is a very likable, relatable character. You can see yourself thinking the same things he thinks, or the same awkward things happening to you. And the way he tells his story and the way he sees the world is painfully honest sometimes. This book had a lot of puns and subtle humor in it, which I really love, especially if you pay attention to the teachers' names. And I didn't pick up on this immediately, but after I did, if you go back and read all of their names, it's quite funny. I love how this book breaks the fourth wall. I don't know if that is only how you refer to video games, or if you can also use it to refer to books, but that's how it was for me. I love how Cliff is always referencing to the reader and making comments to them specifically. I also especially loved how he describes himself, because it's very unusual and it's kind of funny when he talks about how other authors usually use these different ways to describe their main characters. And I thought it was really creative how he had himself described by these essays that his classmates had wrote. I also really like his relationships with his friends and his family in this book. They just seem really real and honest, more so than other books that I've read in this genre. Another thing is you want to root for Cliff through this entire book, whether it's with his relationships, or with his schoolwork, or with what he wants to become later in life, or his art. You just really want to cheer him on. I have to say, the ending really shocked me, because I kind of thought I knew where the story was going and had it figured out pretty well, but I ended up being completely wrong, and I'm always really happy when that happens, because for me at least, far too often I end up figuring out what's going to happen next or what the ending's going to be because it's too predictable. But I was really pleased with this book because it wasn't predictable at all. I guess because in the beginning of the book, Cliff says that he won't lie to you anymore in this book, that I trusted him not to. And then when you find out that he has been lying to you the entire story, it really shocked me. I think it would be worth it to read this book a second time, because if you do read it the second time, and if you think about it, everything that happens or everything that everyone says, it takes on an entirely different light once you know what's really going on. I really loved how in the very first chapter he describes what Jillian looks like as what Cliff loves, and how he says that if he described her to you, it would be to reveal too much of his soul. I really liked that. I liked also at the very end of the book when he describes his car exactly the same way. The love scene between him and Jillian was probably one of my favorites in the book because it was just so good, even though it was awkward. So like I said, I really loved this book, and I do think it deserves some more attention, because I was curious and I looked it up on Amazon, and it had a good rating, but there was only 7 reviews for the entire book. So I do think that more people deserve to know about it, because it's really excellent. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, comment with any suggestions, and subscribe if you want to see more. You can also follow me on Twitter, and I'll put the link for that down below. Bye!